टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ सेंचुरी प्लाई, आग से बचाए।
चिंता रही है कि हमारे गन्ना किसानों को समय पे भुगतान मिले और उसी के परिणाम स्वरूप इथेनॉल को प्रोत्साहन देना, एक्सपोर्ट को सपोर्ट करना, जब जरूरत पड़े तो बफर स्टॉक के माध्यम से अधिक पैसा शुगर इंडस्ट्री को मिले, जिससे और वो पैसा सीधा किसानों के खाते में जाए। तो अलग अलग प्रकार से ये सुनिश्चित किया जा रहा है कि समय पे हमारे गन्ना किसानों को भुगतान मिले। अब वर्ष 1 अक्टूबर से फिर गन्ना किसानों का अपना उत्पादन बिकना शुरू हो जाएगा। हमें उम्मीद है कि इन सब प्रोग्रेसिव नीतियों के कारण गन्ना किसानों को इस साल भी अच्छी अपनी कीमत मिलेगी। ये उल्लेखनीय है कि CACP जो कैलकुलेट करती है सब कॉस्ट को और उसके ऊपर क्या रिटर्न होना चाहिए, उसके अनुमान के हिसाब से जो मार्जिन मिलता है किसानों को अलग अलग प्रोडक्ट्स पे, हमने एक तय किया था स्वामीनाथन कमीशन के रिकमेंडेशन पे कि 50% कम से कम कॉस्ट के ऊपर किसान को पे किया जाए। ये उल्लेखनीय है कि आज के इस 290 रुपए के फैसले से जो किसानों को उनके खर्चे के ऊपर पैसा मिलेगा, द अमाउंट दे विल रिसीव ऑन टॉप ऑफ देयर कॉस्ट ऑफ जनरेटिंग कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोड्यूसिंग शुगर केन, वो 87% हो जाएगा। 87% रिटर्न होगा ऑन द कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन। ये अपने आप में दर्शाता है कि बाकी सब फसलों से एक प्रकार से ज़्यादा FRP के माध्यम से हम सुनिश्चित करते हैं कि हमारे गन्ना किसानों को अच्छा दाम मिले। 87% ओवर दी A2+FL कॉस्ट, ये मार्जिन सुनिश्चित किया गया है। एक और विषय जो दर्शाता है कि कैसे हम गन्ना किसानों को लाभ दे रहे हैं, वो है जो कुल कीमत गन्ना की है चीनी की कीमत के निस्बत। व्हेन यू टेक द कंपैरिजन ऑफ द टोटल शुगर प्राइस एंड द वैल्यू ऑफ शुगर केन इन दैट, तो वो भी लगातार बढ़ते जा रही है। और भारत शायद एकमात्र देश होगा जहां पे लगभग 89% और अब आज के इस फैसले के बाद वो 91% शुगर प्राइस का गन्ना के किसानों को मिलेगा फॉर द शुगर केन प्राइस। ये विश्व के स्तर पे अगर देखें तो लगभग 70 से 75% शुगर प्राइस का गन्ना किसानों को मिलता है। भारत में गन्ना किसानों की को और ज़्यादा प्राइस मिले, उसकी चिंता लगातार प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने की है, जिसके कारण लगभग 90% जो शुगर की रिकवरी होती है वो दाम गन्ना किसानों को मिलेगा। और इस चीज़ को मेकअप करने के लिए इथेनॉल, एक्सपोर्ट, इन सब माध्यमों से हमने एक प्रकार से शुगर इंडस्ट्री को भी संभाला है, गन्ना किसानों को भी समृद्ध बनाया है और साथ ही साथ कंज्यूमर, उपभोक्ता के ऊपर ज़्यादा बोझ नहीं पड़ने दिया। तो ये एक प्रधानमंत्री जी के काम करने की एक विशेषता जो हमने बहुत सारे क्षेत्रों में देखी है। द बैलेंस, द डेलिकेट बैलेंस बिटवीन interests of our farmers, of our consumers, and to ensure the organized industrial activity, ये सब को सुनिश्चित करते हुए आज का निर्णय लिया गया। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you, sir. We will now take some questions on cabinet decision. Number 22.
Okay, those were the important announcements. I think the two key takeaways is one, that the FRP, the Fair Remunerative Price for sugarcane, has been increased to 290 rupees per quintal. This, I think, is slightly higher than what the street was anticipating, which was an increase to levels of 285 rupees per quintal. And secondly, they've also indicated that ethanol blending as a percentage will increase to 20%. This target has been set before. Yes. We already know that ethanol blending is going to increase to 20%, and that target has been reiterated once again. Sugar stocks, of course, have been on fire through the start of the trading session. So once again, let's get the names like Balrampur Chini, Shri Renuka, Bajaj Hindustan. one up for you on your screen. My editor, commodities editor, Manisha Gupta is here with us and she's going to tell us more. Manisha.
Thank you for that, Ekta. Well, yes, very progressive policies it was the Minister Piyush Goyal talked about, and he touched on each one of them in detail as we were listening to that press conference. So the FRP has been increased by 5 rupees, and this is over the top of 10 rupees of an increase in FRP that we saw in the previous year as well. So 5 rupees is what the markets were working with, and that clearly has been digested. The other thing that the minister talked about clearly has been ethanol, and you just mentioned the numbers there as well. The third thing that he spoke about was in sense of the dues, where he says that the FY 19-20 dues are just about 1.4 crores, but the last couple of years is something that the farmers are still waiting for. And the fourth most important point that he talked about was that the sugarcane farmers are now getting nearly 87% more than the cost of production, even as for various other crops, it's just about 50%. Now, that's exactly what the government clearly had promised. We are now joined by Mr. Avinash Verma, DG ISMA. Avinash, hi, I'm assuming you also just heard the Minister Piyush Goyal talk about sugarcane FRP, and he talked in detail about various policy steps that the government has been taking. What are your initial comments on all of them?
Yes, Manisha, as correctly pointed out by you, the market was expecting and the industry also was kind of expecting an increase of 5 rupees per quintal of sugarcane in the FRP. And that is what has been announced. So it is not a surprise. But I will also react by saying and adding to the fact that the government has been very, very responsible in this case, because 2 years back they did not increase the FRP at all. And last year they increased the FRP by 10 rupees and this year they have increased by 5 rupees per quintal. So a 15 rupee increase over 3 years, I don't think it's a very big increase. The industry should be able to absorb this increase, provided a similar increase is made in the MSP of sugar at the same time. Secondly, the minister did talk about the ethanol increasing very rapidly. It is going up from 5% in the last 2 years to almost about 8% we would expect. We should cross 8% all India average this year. And next year we should achieve 10%. So everything is good for the sugar industry. Every time I talk to you, Manisha, you keep on smiling whenever I say that the industry is doing well.
Avinash, I'm still smiling. But the number that I want to come to you really is about the payments due to the sugarcane farmers. And the minister mentioned a figure of 76,000 crores. It's a small amount when we look at FY 19-20, but it still is a big amount. So how is the industry looking at this?
Yes, that is one aspect that really concerns us. The industry never wants to hold on to the payment to the farmers because next year we have to go back to the same farmers to get their sugar cane. The current areas should be in the range of almost about 14,000 crore for the current season. Now, the main reason for the unpaid cane price to the farmers is that our revenue realization is not as good as we want it to be. And there has to be a linkage between the sugar cane price and the sugar price. Now, if you, as I mentioned, last year the sugar cane price was increased by 10 rupees. Now they have increased by 5 rupees. The other costs have also gone up. But the minimum selling price of sugar, which was fixed in February 2019, almost about 2.5 years back, remains at 31 rupees. Now, there is reason. Now, there is another cause of action for the government to increase that MSP. Now, if our sugar price realization is on the lower side and we are not able to get enough revenue, obviously we are unable to pay to the sugarcane farmers, or we would be unable to pay to the banks. So this is exactly what is happening. And that is why our request, again, through your medium, through your channel, again, to the government of India, to look at increasing the MSP of sugar very quickly, because you have not increased it for the last 30 months or so. But at the same time, I would also say that there has been a recent increase in the ex-mill sugar prices. And therefore, if the government increases the MSP of sugar to say 35 rupees or 34.5 rupees per kilo, it is not going to increase the retail price of sugar. And therefore, the government should not be concerned about the inflation or any big increase in sugar price. Thus, the MSP increase will kind of protect us from any downfall from the current levels of the ex-mill price of sugar.
Point taken, Avinash. Thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure talking to you. So, well, there are some pluses, but that is the DG ISMA telling us that there still are some asks from the minister when it comes to the industry.
All right, Manisha, thank you so much for joining us and making sense of the announcements that have just been made. Sweet gains for sugar stocks still going on despite more wants from the industry as far as the sugar companies are concerned. We'll do one thing, we'll slip into a short break now. We'll get you more on the markets on the other side of this very short break. Stay tuned.